Since release, CS2 has felt kind of rough for a couple of reasons.
I'm blind. Short.
What is this spray?
Welcome to CS2 Beta. Oh my god, it's so basic.
But among CS2's issues is the fact that, compared to CSGO, the AWP has felt sort of off.
Hey, well, the bomb was down cat, I think.
He's mid.
Bro, I swear the AWP is off by a millimeter. I'm telling you, bro. Just wait for like one of these pro AWPers to say something.
Oh my god, AWP is not good.
They're a whole different beast going through the upper bracket and on the line. Where'd that bullet go, huh?
The AWP was at one point so bad that even the best player in the world was considering a role swap. But is the iconic sniper rifle actually worse in CS2? Or is there something going on behind the scenes that's affecting the game's gunplay as a whole?
Yet again, same as in the pistol round. That AWP. Oh, the AWP is difficult to use. You're just not good enough.
All right, so before we start talking about the AWP in CS2, I need you to check out our new merch collection, like our onward and forward tee over at shop.thescore.com. Okay, so as I've said, and as I'm sure you already know, the AWP in Counter-Strike is very iconic. It's been core to Counter-Strike for nearly 25 years, and over the past decade, shaped an entire generation of CSGO players who showed the world just how strong it could be in the right hands.
Kenny S stuck in the sight, finding more. That's brilliant, and Kenny S again up close. Oh my goodness, Kenny S! The no-scope on the third. This guy's absolutely insane.
Thanks to players like JW and Kenny S, Valve targeted the AWP with a major nerf back in 2015, lowering the scoped movement value. This was a massive nerf that hit certain players harder than others, specifically T-sided AWPers and AWPers who played with a very hyper-aggressive playstyle. But over time, players got used to the new AWP mechanics, and it remained a core part of the game. Throughout the latter half of CSGO's lifespan, a new generation of young stars proved that they could still do some serious damage with the big green.
Yeah, was Elise jumping?
You think so, yeah.
Yeah. Nasty stuff, but Simple's gonna get himself. Oh! That is something special.
For years, the AWP remained relatively untouched, until late 2022 when Valve decided to reduce its magazine size from 10 bullets to 5. This meant that AWPers couldn't spam smokes or walls as frequently and had to be very conscious of how many bullets were in the mag come the later stages of a round. Still, this didn't hit nearly as hard as 2015's nerf, which basically changed everything. Players continued to do their thing with the AWP, and when CS2 was announced earlier this year, it introduced volumetric smokes, prettier graphics, and SubTik updates. The AWP did receive a nerf in the form of visible bullet tracers, but nobody really knew how much this would affect the meta. When players finally got their hands on CS2, however, they immediately noticed that something about the gunplay just felt off.
I'm blind. Short.
What is this spray?
Your shots don't edge in this game, bro. It's random. Bro, Arch. Oh, Lord, dude. I'm gonna lose my mind.
Now, there were definitely a lot of players, myself included, who were complaining about how sprays felt back when CS2 first launched. But the AWP was one of the biggest points of discussion.
Cat, I think.
He's mid.
Bro, I swear the AWP is off by a millimeter. I'm telling you, bro. Just wait for like one of these pro AWPers to say something.
Oh my god, AWP is not good.
They're a whole different beast going through the upper bracket and on the line. Where'd that bullet go, huh?
Okay.
Hey, somebody get Valve on the phone.
What you see is what you get.
Aside from the bullet tracers, players began complaining that the AWP just felt more difficult to use, especially when flicking to targets. And as someone who AWP'd a lot in CSGO, I definitely experienced my fair share of this. But why did it feel like this? Well, part of the answer goes way over my head. I mean, there's a reason I used the skill cannon to begin with. So I'm gonna bring in Colton to help us explain what was going on behind the scenes in CS2.
And now, the guy who actually knows what he's talking about.
Hold up, we let Dimitri out of the house? And we set him up in the swanky new studio? Maybe we can upgrade this studio next? No? Alright, yeah, that's cool. Oh yeah, SubTik. I talked about it a bit in a video earlier this year, but since then, players have done a ton of research, so let's talk about it. Over the past few months, a lot of people have attributed CS2's problems to input lag, and this video from QK Norris back in September convinced even more people that it was the reason that the gunplay felt weird. But the community and QK Norris recognized some problems with his initial testing, namely that he was using the Glock's muzzle flash to test latency. And not just that, he also compared inputs from CSGO's 128-tick servers to CS2's 64-tick servers. An important distinction because on 64-tick servers you can experience up to 16 milliseconds of extra input lag versus 8 milliseconds on 128-tick. A couple of days later, Reddit user TowelPitiful8354 posted this slow motion footage of an op firing at 0 ping in CS2 to help demonstrate how SubTik actually works. You'll notice that they click their mouse, then quickly flick to the right, but when the muzzle flashes, the bullet still goes where they were aiming at the time of the click.
I'm gonna go ahead and flick my wrist extremely fast to the right and click once my mouse gets to the edge of my mouse pad. You can see that the muzzle flash went off pretty close to the ladder over here, but as I painfully turn around, there it is. An impact in the filing cabinet where I was aiming on the previous frame. So let's switch gears over to CSGO instead. As you can see here, we get almost precisely the opposite behavior, where shots are registering with my mouse flick included. What's happening here is the game only knows the position your crosshair is at each time a frame is rendered. So when you click your mouse in between rendered frames, the game has to make a choice. In CSGO, that choice was that it would register your bullet path on the next frame that occurred. In CS2, however, it decides to register your bullet path using the previous frame's positional data.
QK Norris, after a lot of testing, boiled down the real culprit of CS2's mouse input feeling quote-unquote delayed to the slower and more inconsistent frame render times. When it comes down to shooting, however, that subtle change from calculating bullet trajectory on the next frame to the previous frame is enough to really mess with your muscle memory. So, in reality, what your game saw when you clicked is actually what you get, even if your PC hasn't drawn the frame yet. Maybe that's what Valve meant when they said that. Luckily, Valve has made more improvements to spraying and opping in the past couple of months by making muzzle flashes render on the following frame, similar to CSGO, which made the gunplay feel considerably better, or so I'm told. Reducing any system latency will also help improve this, but since players spent a decade getting used to the op in CSGO, it's just going to come down to time for them to adjust to the op in CS2.
And that was the guy who actually knows what he's talking about.
Okay, so it seems that the op is basically working as intended, and perhaps we all just need to get used to the feel of the new game. But that doesn't change the fact that it's not quite as overpowered as it was in CSGO. As players are getting used to the new shooting mechanics, they've realized that the brutal peeker's advantage in CS2 makes it feel even harder to flick to moving targets. And because of this, sometimes holding angles in CS2 just feels awful.
I'm dead. Sick shot. One is done.
Players have also crucially noticed that the op now becomes inaccurate when you take damage, which might explain this Munacy clip that you saw at the beginning of this video. He might not have been scammed, and perhaps the aim punch that he experienced before shooting his AWP caused the inaccuracy. But regardless of everything new that's going on behind the scenes, some players have really been struggling to get used to these changes. Even the GOAT, Simple, said that he'd considered swapping roles because the AWP just doesn't feel as impactful as it used to be. And it doesn't help that the game has also switched to MR12. Fewer rounds probably means fewer AWPs. And it's true that the economy is probably still in need of some tweaking, but right now, that's just how the game plays.
The AWP is not gonna be back like CSGO, so you need to find new thing to do, new pick, maybe new thing to do with your team about the AWP. So when you manage to think like this, yeah, with everything behind it, you can do everything you want. That's why after Cine, I was like playing a lot of Acid, trying to think about what can I do with my AWP more maybe.
And look, if some of the best players in the world are out there proving that the AWP still has a place in the meta, maybe the jury's still out on the severity of all of this. Even though the big green might feel a tad worse than CS2, you can still make it work. And who knows, maybe a new generation will come along and show us what's possible with the franchise's most iconic gun all over again.
It's one round in it and Brokey is full set. Once again down the bench. It's a good hold from Twist. Needed that one. Brokey's done it again. Multi-kill, close quarters, combat AWPing.
Thanks for watching. If you want more content like this, hit the sub button and ring the notification bell. For unique bite-sized videos you won't find anywhere else, hit us up on our Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok.